Hey guys, it's Heat Dude. I guess I want to come back on here and I guess talk about the fact that I guess now Vin Diesel is actually working on the executive producing a live action. I mean, I don't know if it's actually going to be live action, but a Fast and Furious TV series, which I kind of don't mind because the only TV show that I've actually seen based off the actual Fast and Furious movie franchise was the Fast and Furious Spy Racers animated series on Netflix, which I thought that one was actually pretty sick. I don't know why people actually rated this with all the other Fast and Furious movies if it's just basically a TV show made for kids, but I still enjoyed it. Which is weird because they said they're working on one, but now it turns out they're working on 4 new live-action Fast and Furious TV shows at Peacock, or I guess on Peacock, and I'm like, why 4? I mean, 1 I get, or maybe 2, but 4? That's a little excessive. I mean, I know like the Fast and Furious franchise, made a pretty giant, juggernaut-ass freaking name for themselves in the past more than 20 years since they started way back in 2001. But 4 TV shows, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, because now they got literally Fast Forever. Well, I guess people were kind of, some people, I know not a lot of people, but some people are looking forward to the Fast Forever, the 11th movie in the franchise. I guess it's people are kind of looking at as it basically the end game of the Avengers Endgame of the Fast and Furious series, which again is basically supposed to be like part 2 of part 1 of Fast X, even though that came out 3 years ago, but it's going to come out in 2028. I mean, at this point, the Fast and Furious, saga has become, I know most people said it's becoming a victim of their own success at this point. And it's like, I don't know, at this point, it's like, because they were assuming, a 12th movie was going to be in the works, which I'm like, because at one point, I thought there was going to be a 12th movie. Now, I'm not even so sure anymore. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a Fast 13 at this point. And, I don't know, it's like, not to mention, it's like, what exactly would they have to do to literally make, all these movies still as successful as they did way back more than 20 years ago, just to keep the series going as long as they can? 14, I don't know. I wouldn't, because, a lot of people have been making assumptions that they were going to go to space, and yet they did in F9. Not to mention, I don't know. Again, Fast and Furious 15, it's like, I don't know. I'm like thinking, how long can they actually go continue the series without Brian O'Connor's character? Well, Brian O'Connor not being played by Paul Walker anymore. It's like, because it's like, people have been saying, and I don't think this at all about the Fast and Furious franchise, but they've been kind of slipping a little bit, or, kind of going downhill a little bit since, Brian O'Connor, or Paul Walker's character, Brian O'Connor, left the series. So it's like, again, Peacock out of all of streaming platforms, I'm kind of not surprised because, it's like, they've been doing a little bit of stuff lately, like Ted, the series, Twisted Metal, the show, TV series, which I actually loved quite a bit. I remember watching that when I was at work during lunch. Not to mention they got Fast X on there. So it's like, at the same time, I'm not surprised, but I'm a little bit surprised. Out of all the streaming services, it's like, I kind of wonder why they picked Peacock to do it. But at the same time, I don't have a problem with it. But, I'm kind of wondering if it's still going to be live action, like, the rest of the 9 to 10, 11 movies that have been out since 2001. But, again, I didn't hate Fast X. I know a lot of people said that this movie was going to be a little bit more grounded than F9, which I also didn't hate, but There was some stuff in F9 I really did not remember. Fast X I did remember at least a little bit more. Dom driving the car off a dam, all the way down. Him having a much older son than he did in F8 and 9. I mean, not to mention the villain of it was Dante Reyes, played by Jason Momoa, which I thought he pretty much did a spectacular job as that character. I did like the dam sequence, which in my opinion, I'm not saying it was my favorite, sequence out of all the Fast movies over the past more than 20 years, but I would say it was a pretty damn good one. I mean, it's like, who would have thought that, Dominic Toretto wasn't actually invincible for once, but I mean, there's probably a lot of people who thought, because he was able to survive him jumping off of a freaking, bridge and saving Letty, he thought he was invincible, but I guess not. I'm just like, honestly, it's like, I'm just kind of wondering what exactly ideas do they have for this Fast and Furious TV show? It's like, is it going to be balls off the wall insane like the rest of the series has been since after Furious 7, or I guess before Furious 7, however people want to, say, how they thought it was, since, I guess after Paul Walker left the series as Brian O'Connor. But honestly, I did think that part in Rome where they were literally driving with a freaking wrecking ball bomb or something. People described it as like a freaking Rocket League sequence of the movie. I'm like, that was actually kind of funny. But it's like, I still thought it was a little bit ridiculous, but it's like, with all these movies, you kind of come to expect, how ridiculous they're going to turn out to be. I'm just kind of like, it's like, because I know people are going to try to make it seem like they're going to attack some people by saying, oh yeah, this is stupid, or some stupid crap. Like, I'm kind of like, I just accept it for what it is. It's Fast and Furious, so it's like, I mean, I know people basically say this is just basically, I mean, it just basically does feel like Fast and Furious with Michael Bay explosions, kind of. Or, I mean, like, I know I've also heard people say, I mean, it's just basically like Mission Impossible with cars. And I'm like, that's kind of what it is. I mean, the crazy thing is about it is that they spend, because like, they spent like $30 million on the first movie, but all the way up into the 10th movie, they spent like more than $300 million. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, all that for a Fast and Furious movie? I'm like, damn. Is that for, I mean, that's probably not even just for the CGI, but like for the numerous freaking amount of characters that they're putting in the 10th movie. That's not even including Paul Walker's Brian O'Connor that was in the series but left in the 7th movie. But yeah, I thought it was kind of funny in the movie. The Rocket League rolling wrecking ball bomb thing was basically an homage, because it even died to say it was like an homage to the, the I guess the vault scene from Fast 5. I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. I don't know. It's like, again, it's like, what exactly are they gonna, I don't know. I guess my main thing is like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be interested in whatever plot that they're gonna really put down on paper and then just make into a TV show. I'm just kind of like, is it going to be like a spin-off of one of the characters we never even seen, or it's like hardly ever have much of screen time of, like, because it's like, I don't know, I wouldn't mind having like a Roman spin-off, or maybe like, I don't know, because it's like we sure as hell can't have a Brian O'Connor spin-off, because, Paul Walker's been gone since 2013. Because, I don't know, it's like, personally, it's like, people have been thinking, they've been trying to make money off of this series, even though Brian O'Connor, or I guess Brian O'Connor is the one who started it. I would love to see, I might have said this before in a video already, but I would love to see, like, a flashback TV show of young Dom and, Jacob from F9. But, I mean, at least a little bit more, because, we really didn't get that much of him. I thought it was funny because someone on the internet posted saying that Mark Wahlberg would have made a really good Jacob Toretto. I'm like, I could kind of see that if they didn't pick John Cena. John Cena, I think, did a really good job, but Mark Wahlberg, in my opinion, I think he's a decent freaking actor, to be honest. I mean, if you guys remember from like F9 2021, when they like flash back to that 1989 race that Jack Toretto, Dom's father, raced in, I would kind of, it's like, why even really have that emotional moment with him of young Dom in 1989, and just basically not long after it's like they didn't even get time to really know who he is. But I guess they're trying to give, Dom sort of a reason to basically be the actual family man that he actually is. It's like, it kind of makes sense from, on a gigantic standpoint of why Dom is the type of person he is when it comes to, his crew and his family and his friends. But it's just like, only knowing that dude for like 5 seconds of the movie, it didn't really make any sense. I mean, I guess it makes sense why it's, he tries to, keep his family as close as stay as close as with his family as much as possible, not to mention have all this barbecues and everything. I mean, I don't know. Because the Fast and Furious franchise has been, again, around for more than 20 years. I mean, I never thought that this series would do, not so much for myself, but for a whole lot of people. I mean, again, it's just like, it's really not been the same since Paul Walker passed away. Because it's like, he was in the, 6 of the 7 movies, which, again, that's still, a pretty big number of, the 11th movie saga now. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I mean, it's like, how would that make sense to have a Paul Walker, Brian O'Connor spin-off of Fast and Furious? Well, I guess thinking that's what Too Fast, Too Furious was, but it's like now, you'd have to really make him like a side character or something, because he's gonna, who knows if they're actually gonna make him CGI throughout the entire movie, or AI, or, just take one of his brothers and just CGI his face onto him like they did in Furious 7. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to believe, because he was the main character that started the whole saga way back in 01, but it's he ain't even in the series anymore. It's because he got killed in a car crash more than 10 years ago. It's it's kind of crazy. All of this started with just simple street racing, in Los Angeles. And it's now they took all this and just had the characters go to space and stuff. And I'm like, bro, Fast and Furious has really come a long freaking way since 2001. Not to mention driving down a freaking dam and stuff. It's I don't know, all that rock music, and I guess it was still kind of rap, but it's all that punk rock music back in the early 2000s, and it kind of makes you wish I would have went back to that time. I don't remember it as much, but it's it just kind of makes me realize how youthful the early 2000s were back in the day, and everybody who was in this franchise was it just I don't know, because at least in the first movie, or the very first movies, they did feel like real people. You can kind of see where, Vin Diesel and Paul Walker's, brotherhood kind of started, not just with Dominic Toretto, but, when it came to, them working on this franchise 20 plus years ago. I'm I don't know. Again, I'm not sure. I guess I would maybe want a Dom spin-off, but it's I don't know. Not to mention, it's how young Jordana Brewster was when she first did the series. I'm holy crap. It's crazy to think how long this series has actually been around for since it first started. So it's I mean, not to mention Letty. I'm like, Letty, like, even punched the dude in the first movie. I'm like, oh my god. Like, she had, honestly, a lot of balls to do that. I'm like, holy shit. I mean, but yeah, like, I even remember when A-OK literally parodied, you know, I think it was F9 when it first came out, or Fast and Furious 9 when it first came out, calling it Fast and Furious 99. And turned every character into old people on freaking motor scooters and stuff. I'm like, bro, that's messed up. But it's like, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised because, you know, Paul Walker and, you know, all of them did joke about Fast and Furious 66, which, I mean, God help me if they actually ever, you know, go on that freaking long without Paul Walker as Brian O'Connor. I'm just like, how could you I don't know, how could you, you know, actually get used to the whole not having Paul Walker around in the series anymore and still go that strong? I'm just like, I still love Fast and Furious because it's like my guilty pleasure or saga, but it's just like, I don't know, I guess, you know, there's such thing as a too much of a good thing, but I don't know, honestly. Not to mention, you know, there was stuff said that Universal won't make Fast 11 unless they weren't going to make Fast 11 unless they made some, you know, serious or major budget cuts, which I'm like, people were assuming with Fast 11 or Fast Forever was going to get canceled, but I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a I guess a Little B spinoff with the kid, but it's just like, I mean, who knows? They'll try to just cast him with a much older actor like they did with the other kid in F9 or something. Not to mention, I mean, the character was just a baby in the Fate the Furious, but it's like, I don't know. It's like, who knows? I mean, Dominic Toretto, it's like, you know, he's become like a major, in my opinion, a major icon, you know, for a whole lot of people. I mean, but yeah. So I can't wait for the TV show. So I guess leave a comment down below if you guys want to. Subscribe, share, say you guys later. Peace out.